Welcome, lovely souls, to Magnetize Official, where we dive deep into the energy of soul connections, spiritual awakening, and personal transformation. Today, we're tuning into the Divine Masculine Collective, picking up on the waves of change, healing, and self-discovery that are unfolding right now. If you caught our last reading on the Divine Feminine, you know there's been a powerful, energetic shift, and today we're continuing that update, exploring what's rising to the surface for the Divine Masculine. So, if you're ready to uncover the messages the universe is guiding you toward, let's begin. As the first cards reveal themselves, a story begins to unfold, one that speaks of longing, transformation, and the silent battles being waged within the Divine Masculine's heart. The Envy card appears like a storm cloud casting its shadow over his energy, a sign that he is grappling with feelings of lack and unfulfillment. It's as if he's standing behind a glass window, watching the world move forward while feeling stuck in place. This is not just about material desires or external validation. This is about a deeper yearning, one that whispers of something missing within. The more he looks outside himself for fulfillment, the more distant his inner peace seems to become. And yet, beside this card, the door to personal healing and happiness appears like a ray of light piercing through the darkness, showing that even in the midst of struggle, there is a path forward. This card is not just an invitation. It's a promise. It signals that the very things he seeks externally can only be found by stepping inward, by embracing the healing that his soul has been craving. The door is open, but will he walk through it? The answer lies in his willingness to face what he has long ignored. A vision emerges, a scene painted in shadows. These are not just any shadows, they are fragments of his past, echoes of wounds left unattended. They lurk in the corners of his mind, rising now like ghosts demanding to be seen. These are the parts of himself he has tried to outrun, the fears, insecurities, and disappointments that have shaped his journey. But the thing about shadows is that they only exist in the presence of light. The fact that they are coming to the surface now means he is ready to acknowledge them, to hold them in his awareness, and to release what no longer serves him. This moment is a crossroads. The Divine Masculine is being given a choice: remain in the cycle of lack, comparing his journey to others and feeling disconnected, or step through the door of healing and claim the peace that has always been his to find. The cards do not dictate his fate, but they offer guidance, pointing him toward a truth he has always known deep down. The key to his happiness has never been outside of him. It has always been within, waiting for him to choose it. This reading marks an important turning point. The weight he carries is not just his own, it is ancestral, karmic, deeply ingrained in his soul's journey. But now, the universe is nudging him forward, urging him to look beyond the illusion of scarcity and see the abundance that awaits. The path is not without challenges, but the door is open, the light is shining through, and all he has to do is take the first step. The Divine Masculine stands at a crossroads where silence is no longer an option, where the weight of unspoken words and unhealed wounds presses against his chest like a rising tide. The shadows that once lingered at the edges of his awareness now stand before him, demanding his attention, not as tormentors, but as teachers. It is as if he is standing in front of a mirror that reflects not just his outer self, but the truth of his soul, stripped of pretense, stripped of masks. He feels the urgency within, an inner pulse growing stronger, pushing him toward healing, toward clarity, toward, finally, expressing what has been locked away for too long. This is not just an internal shift, it is a call, a deep pull that he cannot ignore. Imagine a dam straining under the pressure of held-back water, each crack forming a pathway for the flood to break free. That is what his emotions feel like now. Every word he didn't say, every truth he swallowed, every moment he turned away from his own pain is now surging forward with intensity, asking to be released. His throat tightens, his heart beats faster, as if his very soul is urging him to speak, to express what has been silenced, to make sense of what has felt tangled and unclear. And perhaps, in the distance, or maybe closer than he dares to admit, there is the divine feminine. She has felt this shift too, sensing his energy like a whisper carried on the wind. The connection between them is not bound by time or space. It is something deeper, something ancient, something undeniable. Like the moon pulling the tides, her presence stirs something in him, awakening emotions he thought he had buried. He feels the weight of everything he has left unsaid, the truths he has hesitated to voice, the emotions he has struggled to understand. The urgency is not just about him, it is about them. He can feel it in his bones, the need to step forward, to communicate, to bridge the space that has grown between them. It is as if his soul knows that healing cannot happen in isolation. That expression is the key to releasing what has long been suppressed. The fear of vulnerability still lingers, but it is no longer stronger than the desire to be free, to be understood, to be heard. This moment is sacred. It is raw. It is the unraveling of old patterns and the beginning of something new. Like a night sky before the first light of dawn, the darkness he faces now is not an ending. It is a prelude to clarity. The divine masculine is being called to speak, to heal, to embrace the transformation that has been waiting for him all along. And in that choice, in that surrender to truth, something powerful is about to shift. Not just within him, but within the entire connection itself. A powerful shift is happening within the divine masculine, like a lantern flickering to life in a darkened room, casting light on the truths he tried to bury. The names and initials, George, L-Y-E, float like echoes from the past, carrying energy that stirs old memories, unresolved emotions, and unspoken words. It's as if the universe is gently, yet persistently, whispering reminders of what he once refused to face. These names could be people, situations, or even symbolic representations of moments that shaped him, each one holding a key to unlock the doors he's kept shut for too long. The more he tries to ignore these messages, the louder they become, ringing in his mind like a bell that refuses to be silenced. The masculine is now standing face to face with the lies he once told himself, not malicious deceptions, but the quiet, subtle ones that build over time. The kind of lies we tell to feel safe, to avoid the pain of truth. Maybe he convinced himself he wasn't worthy of love, or that happiness was something distant and unattainable. Perhaps he told himself that walking away from the divine feminine was easier than confronting his fears of vulnerability. These mistruths acted like bricks in a wall, one by one, separating him from his own heart. But now, the wall is beginning to crumble, and each falling brick reveals a piece of the truth he can no longer avoid. It's like he's been holding a mirror, but only looking at a distorted reflection. Now, the glass is clearing, and he's starting to see himself as he truly is, both the light and the shadow, the strength and the scars. And while this reckoning is painful, it's also profoundly necessary. Just like a forest fire clears out the dead wood to make space for new growth, these revelations are burning away the false narratives he clung to, making room for a more authentic version of himself to emerge. The weight of these realizations is heavy, pressing on his chest, like an anchor. But with each truth that rises, there's also a release, a sense that he's finally breathing fresh air after being underwater for too long. The lies weren't just about others. They were lies he told to survive. But survival is no longer enough. His soul craves more, connection, peace, and a love that mirrors his highest self. And the only way to reach that is to strip away everything that isn't real. This transformation is not a punishment. It's a gift. The divine is not showing him these shadows to break him, but to free him. Each painful truth is a stepping stone to clarity. Each exposed lie a doorway to authenticity. And as he continues to face these revelations, something incredible happens. The more he embraces the truth, the lighter he becomes. It's like he's shedding an old skin, releasing the version of himself that was built on fear and stepping into the man he was always meant to be. The path forward won't be without struggle, but now he walks with clearer vision. He is no longer stumbling through the dark, blinded by illusion. The light is growing brighter, and with every step he comes closer to the freedom that comes from living in alignment with his truth. And somewhere, perhaps without even knowing it, the divine feminine feels this shift, like a soft breeze carrying the scent of change, a quiet knowing that something within him is awakening. Because truth, no matter how long it's been hidden, always finds its way to the surface. And when it does, it carries the power to transform everything. There is a moment in every journey where the past comes rushing back, like waves crashing against the shore. Undeniable, relentless, and full of the echoes of what was once overlooked. The divine masculine stands at this crossroads, grappling with a realization that feels both enlightening and heavy. He didn't truly see the divine feminine's worth when she was standing right in front of him. The appreciation card reversed is more than just a message. It's a mirror reflecting the regret, the missed chances, and the ways he let his own wounds cloud his vision. Like a man walking through a familiar garden, only to realize too late that the most beautiful flower has already bloomed and drifted away. He is now seeing her radiance with new eyes, eyes that are no longer blinded by pride, fear, or distractions. Negativity clings to him like a dense fog, whispering reminders of the times he resisted seeing her love for what it truly was. Perhaps he was too focused on his own struggles, too consumed by his doubts, or too caught in cycles of self-sabotage to recognize that she was never asking for more than he could give. Only for truth, authenticity, and a love that met her in its purest form. And now, as he reflects, he sees the moments where he dismissed her kindness as something ordinary, where he let her nurturing energy slip through his fingers as if it were an infinite resource instead of the sacred gift that it was. There is a sharpness to this regret, an ache that lingers in the spaces where silence once lived between them. What stings even more is the undeniable growth of the divine feminine. She is no longer waiting, no longer standing in the shadow of uncertainty, hoping he will see what has always been there. Like the moon shifting from a sliver to its fullest glow, she has stepped into her own power, her own light, radiating a confidence and grace that is impossible to ignore. And this transformation is not just something he notices, it's something he feels. It tugs at the corners of his soul, a quiet yet persistent reminder of what he once had and what he may have lost. There is a deep longing now, not just for her presence, but for the version of himself that could have stood beside her, whole and ready. It's not just about missing her touch, her voice, or the way she made him feel seen. It's about realizing that her love was a reflection of something greater, something divine, and that by overlooking her, he was also overlooking the parts of himself that longed to heal, to grow, to be truly free. This longing is more than just nostalgia. It's a spiritual awakening, a call from the universe that can no longer be ignored. The more he watches her flourish, the more he understands that she was never meant to be dimmed for his comfort. She was always meant to shine, to expand, to move in alignment with her highest self. And now he is left with a choice: stay in the shadows of his regret, or rise into the version of himself that is worthy of standing beside her, not as someone who takes her for granted, but as someone who truly sees, cherishes, and honors the depth of her soul. The energy of realization is powerful, but it is not always gentle. It moves through him like a storm, unsettling the foundations he once relied on. But within the storm, there is also clarity, an undeniable truth rising from the depths. She was never just another person in his life. She was a guiding light, a presence sent to awaken something within him that had been buried under years of conditioning and fear. And now, as he watches her step into her destiny, he feels the pull to do the same. But the question remains: will he answer the call, or will he allow his regret to be the final chapter in their story? The divine feminine is no longer waiting for him to decide. She has already chosen herself. Now, the choice is his. Separation is often mistaken for an ending, but in truth, it is a recalibration, a sacred pause orchestrated by the divine. The divine masculine may have believed that stepping away was his choice, that he was the one pulling the strings, creating distance, and deciding the course of this connection. But what he did not anticipate was the hand of the universe moving behind the scenes, reinforcing the very separation he initiated. What may have started as his decision became something far greater, a divinely ordained detachment designed not as a punishment, but as protection. For the divine feminine, this shift may have felt sudden, like the tide pulling back before an unseen wave rises. At first, she may have searched for the familiar signs, the synchronicities, the intuitive nudges, the unspoken knowing that once tethered them together so strongly. But something had changed. The emotional weight that once felt inescapable began to lift, as if an invisible cord had been loosened, giving her space to breathe. It was not abandonment, it was liberation. The divine was stepping in, shielding her from the cycles of confusion, doubt, and waiting. Like a bird whose wings had unknowingly been tethered, she was suddenly free to soar without resistance. This detachment was not cold, nor was it cruel. It was a gentle but firm redirection, a cosmic intervention ensuring that her energy was no longer drained by something that was not yet ready to align. Where she once felt an overwhelming emotional pull toward the masculine, checking for signs, feeling his emotions as if they were her own, sensing his energy in moments of stillness, she may have noticed a quieting. The intensity that once consumed her heart began to soften, replaced by a peaceful surrender. It was as if the divine had placed a protective barrier around her, not to keep her from love, but to preserve her essence until true reciprocity could exist. And in this newfound space, she began to reclaim herself. She no longer felt the relentless tug of unfinished conversations, the silent weight of unspoken emotions, or the exhausting cycles of waiting for clarity. The lessons had been learned, the healing had begun, and the divine was making it clear. This connection was not meant to keep her bound in uncertainty. The masculine, whether he realized it or not, had been given time to face his own journey without relying on her energy as his anchor. The space between them was not empty. It was sacred. For the masculine, this separation may not have carried the same immediate sense of relief. He may have expected her energy to linger, her presence to remain an unshakable force in the background of his life. But instead, he felt something else, a quiet void where her warmth used to be. The comfort of knowing she was always energetically near had faded, and in its absence, he was left with himself. This was not the absence of love, but the presence of a lesson that he could not continue moving through life, expecting her to hold space for him while he remained undecided. A lesson that true love cannot be passively received. It must be actively chosen, nurtured, and honored. Divine intervention ensured that this separation was not just physical, but energetic. No longer could he simply reach for her in moments of longing and expect her essence to meet him halfway. No longer could he rely on unspoken connections to fill the gaps where communication failed. This was his time to reflect, to feel the weight of his choices, and to understand that love does not wait indefinitely. The divine had created a boundary that could not be crossed until he was ready to approach with sincerity, accountability, and a heart fully open. For the feminine, this was not a loss, but a homecoming. She was no longer tangled in the web of potential, no longer weighed down by the unspoken. She was returning to herself, walking forward without the burden of trying to hold on to something that was not yet meant to be held. The universe had given her permission to let go, and in that surrender, she found something priceless: peace. Separation, in this case, was not rejection. It was redirection. The divine was not taking something from her, but restoring her to her rightful path. The love she held, the energy she poured into this connection, was never wasted. It was a catalyst for her growth, for his awakening, and for a deeper understanding of what true union requires. If this was meant to return, it would do so in divine timing. But for now, the doors had been closed, not out of cruelty, but out of love. Love that protects, love that heals, and love that refuses to let one soul dim for the sake of another's unreadiness. And so, with quiet certainty, she walks forward, not bitter, not resentful, but free. The divine has spoken, and she has listened. The protection was never a barrier. It was a blessing that allowed her to step fully into her own light, knowing that whatever is meant for her will meet her there, whole and ready. The divine masculine finds himself in the midst of a storm, an emotional turbulence that feels like a ship caught in choppy waters, unable to reach its harbour. With the 10 of Cups reversed, he faces disillusionment in his emotional world, where the vision of happiness he once believed in seems distant, like a sunset swallowed by clouds. Relationships that once seemed promising have become strained or stagnant, leaving him questioning what went wrong. The joy he once envisioned is now elusive, as if the dream has slipped through his fingers like grains of sand, leaving behind only the hollow ache of unfulfilled expectations. The Page of Pentacles reversed reflects his struggles in the material world, where plans seem to crumble at the first sign of difficulty, as if building a foundation made of sand instead of solid stone. Every effort to move forward feels blocked, like trying to run through quicksand. These challenges, though painful, are not without purpose. The universe is softening him, gently stripping away the illusions and false beliefs he once held tightly. Like a sculptor chipping away at a block of marble, the divine is chiseling away the unnecessary weight he has carried, preparing him for a new beginning, one that is more aligned with his truth. He is being brought to ground zero, a place where all preconceived notions and expectations are left behind. It may feel like a setback, but in reality, it is a setup for something far more powerful. It is the point of reset, where he is forced to confront the rawness of who he is without the distractions of what he thought he should be. This process of softening, of breaking down, is the fertile soil where his true self can begin to grow anew. For the divine masculine, this moment of realignment is like the dawn after a long, dark night. It is an opportunity to rebuild his life, but this time with stronger, more authentic intentions. The setbacks he faces are not a sign of failure, but a calling to revisit the foundations he once thought were unshakable. Like a tree whose branches were too heavy with fruit, he must first prune away what no longer serves him in order to grow in healthier, more balanced ways. The softening process invites him to release the grip he once had on false ideals and expectations, allowing space for clarity to come in. It is an uncomfortable, sometimes frustrating process, but it is ultimately necessary. With the Page of Pentacles reversed, he may feel like he's failing at every turn, but this misfortune is part of his healing journey. It is a reminder that the greatest growth often comes from the most difficult lessons. Like a seed buried in the dark earth, it may feel stuck, but it is only in that darkness that it gains the strength to sprout and reach for the light. The divine masculine is being forced to pause, reflect, and reevaluate what truly matters to him. This is not a punishment. It is the gentle nudge of the universe guiding him toward a fresh start, one that is more aligned with his authentic self and higher purpose. In the face of these struggles, he may feel vulnerable, as though he is standing on shaky ground with nothing to hold on to, but this is exactly where he needs to be. This softening process, this coming to ground zero, is a necessary part of his evolution. It is the moment before the breakthrough, the calm before the storm of transformation. The divine is asking him to let go of the old, to make room for the new. In his willingness to release the past, he will discover a new sense of clarity and strength, one that is grounded in truth, authenticity, and purpose. This phase, though challenging, holds within it the seeds of renewal. It is a fresh start, the beginning of a new chapter, where he can rebuild his life from the ground up, with a foundation built on the lessons he has learned. The misfortune he faces is not the end of the road. It is the beginning of a more aligned path. He is being prepared to step into his full potential, to rise from the ashes like a phoenix reborn, with a stronger sense of self and a clearer vision of what he truly wants from life. In the end, the struggles he faces now will serve as the stepping stones to his greatest transformation. To wrap up our YouTube reading, let's draw one final message from the Rumi Oracle deck. The card is Layla, and here's what the guidebook shares. Set aside your clever plans, O lover. Be free from thought. Become wild. Dive into the heart of passion. Be fearless, like a moth drawn to the flame. Let go of the self and tear down the walls, then come and reside in the house of love. Embrace love fully and live among those who love. Cleanse your heart of all bitterness. Wash it thoroughly and fill it with the wine of love. Be a vessel for love. You must embody love to be worthy of the beloved. When attending the gathering of the joyful, be joyful yourself. Let your thoughts drift away and follow your heart's lead. Be the one who leads with love. When love's grace shines through, be a mirror that reflects it. When the beloved's hair falls loose, gently brush it. Be that brush. The guidebook also shares this poignant message. You're navigating a phase of uncertainty, a time spent in the great void or the nurturing womb of the Divine Mother. It's here, in this hidden space, that the seed of your potential can begin to sprout and take root. This growth doesn't happen in the light where everything is visible and clear. It unfolds in the darkness, where only trust can guide you to success. Exciting news! We're thrilled to announce that channel membership is now available. By joining, you'll gain exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and special access to our community. It's a fantastic way to support the channel and enhance your experience with us. Click the Join button to explore the membership options and see what exciting benefits await you. We can't wait to welcome you to our growing family and share more amazing content together. If this video resonated with you and you're eager for more, please engage with the content, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, Magnetize Official. Share these uplifting words with anyone who might find comfort and inspiration.